Hey, what's up? This is Joe. This video is going to take you on kind of a breakdown of the last of my preparations for my trip to the Philippines, winterizing my motorcycle, and the long and arduous journey to get here via planes, trains, and automobiles. As soon as I got back to Virginia, I started making the last of my preparations for the long journey to the Philippines. Before storing this beautiful motorcycle, I'm going to add some of this stable. I got it almost full on gas. You want as little air in the tank as possible before you store it, because the oxygen molecule actually reacts to some stuff in the gas and causes a lot of nasty, almost like the stuff out of the corner of your eye. I certainly don't want that in my fuel system. And this stable stuff, the idea with this is that it bonds to the molecule in the gasoline and thus prevents it from bonding with the oxygen. And then, like I say, I'm gonna maybe use the bike for a couple of small trips, and then I'll go ahead and top it off with some ethanol-free gasoline before I let it sit in that corner over there. One of the other components of winterizing a motorcycle is get yourself one of these battery tenders. Basically what it does is kind of maintains the battery and keeps the voltage from dropping down too low. If you're anywhere where you have a lot of kind of extreme fluctuations in temperature, extreme cold, or even just not extreme cold, you want to put one of those on it. I mean, I looked at it the other day. I hadn't ridden it for a couple of days, but the temperature got really cold and the readout was only like 10 volts. So I plugged it in, and a few hours later it was back to 12.3. So definitely keeping a charge on it will save your battery. So I like to keep it kind of maintained. That way, when I come home, it should start. Grab that. So right now it's reading red and blinking, which means it's not connected to anything. If that battery is showing a low voltage, it'll actually be solid red, and then once it's where it needs to be, it'll actually turn green. But the idea with this is you can leave it plugged in for, months at a time. You can see right now I've got 13.4. It's gonna probably show green when I plug it in. It's worth noting also that I've got the bike on the center stand to kind of save space, obviously. Really what it is to get all the weight off of the tires. When you store a motorcycle, a lot of the weight is on the tires. The contact point can actually wear a flat spot in the tread, supposedly. Anyway, I just feel better getting all the weight, or most of the weight, is off of the tires. Tomorrow, pretty much got everything packed. Only thing left to do is go for one last ride and get some ethanol-free gas. Money, one of the prettiest places in the world in the fall. And I'm not just saying that because I'm from here. There's a tendency when you live in these mountains to sort of take them for granted and not really appreciate them. But then almost overnight, the leaves change and the entire landscape essentially changes color. And so you're like, wow, that's pretty awesome. Anyway, it won't stay like this for long. After all these leaves change, they'll fall off. Eventually winter sets in and the landscape is pretty bleak, at least until spring. So I'm gonna go get some ethanol-free gas and head back home. just trying to stay as relaxed as possible. No matter how many times you do this, it always sucks. I can bet almost 100% that at some point in this journey, I'm going to get irritated. I found it good to kind of get packed and everything squared away a couple of days in advance of the trip so that you can sort of relax, keep your stress level at an absolute minimum, and hopefully not end up yelling at anybody at the airport. So in a bit, my family is going to come and pick me up and give me a ride to the train station. And from there, I will catch my flight out of Dulles, direct to Tokyo, about 14 hours. You know, they kind of use the curvature of the Earth to kind of go in an arc. So 14 hours is not bad. I think last year when I flew to Vietnam, it was something like 16 hours. So we'll see how it goes. Got the motorcycle covered up, stored away. Another thing I didn't show you is that I wrapped up the end of the exhaust pipe with a couple of plastic bags and threw a bungee cord around it just to kind of deter any mice from being making home in there. So I had to go through a little bit of an editing process and figure out what's allowed specifically in Japan. I think it's a great country. They've got some amazing food. People are really friendly, but they've got some of the most strict laws as far as what you can bring and not. It's like, if you even question, is this illegal in Japan? It's probably illegal. Pepper spray, for instance, can't have pepper spray. I was gonna bring that. That's a good thing I didn't. Because like almost every other country, you can bring pepper spray in your check bag. Can't bring it to Japan. I had to watch it on the nicotine lozenges. I was bringing like a 3-month supply because I don't know how easy they are to get over there. So I edited and got rid of some of them. It's still probably like a 2-month supply. I guess if I get caught, I can just throw them away if I have to, which is gonna suck. The Amtrak ride to DC ought to be interesting. I've never ridden Amtrak and it's dirt cheap. I mean, 15 bucks from Roanoke to DC just makes it by far the cheapest option to get to Dulles. Amtrak train ended up being actually a lot nicer than I expected. Basically like first class on a lot of airplanes. Off the train, Manassas, Virginia. There was like a little bit of a 30-minute slowdown or something. Weather outside's about 60 degrees. I got a cheap hotel about 35 minutes away. So it looks like I'm walking through presumably the ghetto. I hiked all my gear for 1.6 miles until I reached the Super 8, which was situated ironically beside an enormous Asian grocery store. Well, this is pretty fitting that I find myself in a giant Asian grocery store right when I'm about to fly. What's up, man? Right as I'm about to fly to Asia, so I just needed a gallon of water. Uber's actually got a feature where you can share a ride if somebody happens to be going in the same direction, and ends up saving you about 20%. I think it might take a little bit longer, but my plane doesn't leave until 12:30, so it's like 8:45 now, so I should have plenty of time. The flight to Tokyo was delayed twice, and after several hours of waiting, I finally boarded the plane that would take me halfway around the globe. right, so once again, I lucked out. I got 3 empty seats right next to each other, so about as comfortable as you can expect. Eerily quiet in here. Very typical of Japan. Sort of a very reserved culture. Very quiet. That's genuine Kobe beef, a little out of my price range. I got about another 17 hours to kill. Might sound like a lot, but really it's not at all. Looks like I see a sushi place over there, so I'm gonna finish the rest of my green tea and head in there, get a couple of bites of sushi. The sushi at this place was not quite as good as that which I had last time, but was still quite delicious. The real secret seems to be in the individual manner in which the rice is prepared. My experience in the sushi bar this time went a lot smoother than it did last time. I learned a little bit of Japanese, so that really sort of helped me. Everything just goes a lot smoother when you learn to make certain sounds with your mouth. Oddly enough, just kind of makes the whole thing go a lot smoother. Yeah, although I would like to walk around and explore a little bit more of Japan, there's just not really time, so I'm just kind of getting the diluted version here at the airport. Which is sort of a little pastry filled with usually like red bean paste or something like that. Sumimasen. Shumon onegai shimasu. これを一つ。The amount of work that must go into keeping these things alive and healthy. All these little trees and stuff are planted into the wood. All right, it's 3 a.m. I can't sleep. This is a Japanese 7-Eleven, kind of infamous for the interesting variety of food. So I'm just walking around like a zombie, looking for something to eat. All right, so getting ready to head to my terminal. I feel like death warmed over at this point. I don't think it's so much jet lag, it's just travel fatigue. I kind of picked up something from back in the Super 8 in DC that I stayed at. As soon as I opened the door, the smell of mold just hit me in the face, and just a general lack of sleep. I wish I had more time to spend in Japan. The food is awesome. I just find it to be a country of very happy, respectful people. Even the guy at 7-Eleven takes as much pride in his work as like a doctor or a lawyer. If you're in the grocery store looking at something, people will not walk in front of you. They will go out of their way to walk behind you and not get in your way. Very polite, very reserved, very quiet. During the next 5.5 hour flight, we crossed yet another time zone as we flew southwest toward the city of Manila. We're on the plane from Tokyo to Manila. Got the meal of the flight, which is... The in-flight meal consisted of green tea, a roll, salad, macaroni, and a seafood-infused rice dish. It was nothing to write home about. Seafood-infused rice. the airport in Manila, I grabbed a taxi and headed to one of the cheapest hotels I could find. In retrospect, Manila really isn't the kind of place to look for the cheap hotels, but I'm not above staying in the poor parts of town, especially if it saves me a buck. Only 2 days here in Manila. I'm here for 2 days, and then I go to Davao.
So have a vacation.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. So all in all, the journey had taken about 4 days, and now here I was, clear on the other side of the world. My immediate future, it seemed, was about to get really interesting. So as always, if you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe. And as usual, I've included an optional donate link in the drop box for anybody that might like to contribute to this project. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the road.